Why Kenyan Gen Z is actually a threat to political kingpins is that Kenya's Gen Z, these are actually people who are born between late 1990s and early 2010, to go up to 2010 thereabout. And this group of people represents a very good demographic that is a shift that is reshaping Kenya's political landscape. So their activism is fueled by a blend of technological savviness. Their social cautious and economic frustrations has become actually potent force that challenges the traditional dominance of political kingpins in this republic. And here is why this generation, Gen Z, is actually a growing threat to established political hierarchies. Number one, digital mobilization and decentralization influence. Gen Zs are actually digital natives who leverage on social media platforms to organize, communicate, and actually mobilize at unprecedented scales. Unlike traditional political structures, which rely on hierarchical networks, Gen Z's activism actually thrives on decentralization. So they can actually leverage on real-time organization through platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and now they allow them to gather thousands of protesters without actually the need to establish leadership. They're actually leaderless, they're tribeless. Their narrative control is another point. Through viral content, they challenge, they normally stage, they do it via those platforms. They make it very difficult for political elites to manipulate the public opinion. Number two reason is the rejection of traditional patronage systems. Now, for decades, Kenyan politics has actually revolved around ethnic alliances and patronage networks. Political kingpins often rally support by appealing to tribal loyalty and dispensing favors. However, Gen Zs are actually breaking away from these patterns. Ideological shift, for example. They prioritize issues like economic equity, climate justice, and human rights over tribal politics. Another one is that they demand for accountability. Unlike previous generations, they are less willing to trade loyalty for handouts or empty promises. So far, no political leaders who speak in the Republic of Kenya can claim the well-attended demonstrations of the 25th June, both last year and this year. No political elite can say that he was actually behind and that the youths are actually listening to him. Number 3 point why the political elite fear Gen Z is that economic pressures amplify their dissatisfaction. So Kenya's youth face a high unemployment rates, inflation, and limited opportunities in the Republic as we speak. So these economic struggles are actually exacerbated by perceived government inefficiencies and corruption, creating a fertile environment or ground for dissent. So disillusionment. Gen Zs are quick to call out leaders for failing to address their needs, intensifying pressure on political elites to deliver tangible results. They channel their frustrations into protests and grassroots campaigns, bypassing the traditional political mediators. So for them, they go direct. You can see them handling a political leader direct. They are calling demonstration direct. They don't go through political mediators. And number 4 point as to why this generation of Gen Zs is feared by the political elite is the fluidity and leaderless movement. Unlike older generations, Gen Zs are actually less inclined to follow singular charismatic leaders. This fluidity, it makes it very hard for political kingpins to co-opt or neutralize their movements. And that's why the political elites are actually unable to neutralize Gen Zs. People who are leaderless, their diverse representation. Their causes often include a wide array of voices, from grassroots activists to social influencers, so you don't actually understand where they are. Resilience is another factor. With the central figures, these movements are actually less vulnerable to disruption through arrests or corruption. Because now, are you going to arrest one in Bungoma? Come for one in Meru. Go for another one there. The kelele tayari imekuwa almost all over the world. But when they meet themselves online, they become a community. As if they live together, they stay in the one house. Number 5 reason is exposure to global ideas and movements. These Gen Zs are very much exposed. Once they have read the books, some of the books they read, you can see now like a book by Professor Mberia Kidaka, is a book that actually pictures whatever is happening in society today. And these people have gone ahead with the internet. They are actually deeply connected to global youth movements, drawing inspiration from protests and uprising worldwide. So this exposure informs their strategies and goals, making their activism more sophisticated and harder to suppress. And that's why the political elites are unable to suppress them. So intentional solidarity, they have a very intentional solidarity when you study them. They frame local struggles within a global context. So they take the local struggles, then they frame them within the global context. How do you handle such like people? Gaining support and legitimacy beyond Kenya's borders. So what they are doing here, because they have taken that local struggle and then they have actually made it a global context. They have actually, put it under a global context. So they are gaining support from across the borders of Kenya. Look at that. And then they are very innovative. So they are innovative tactics, from online campaigns to non-violent resistance. They employ methods that are very difficult for traditional political systems to actually counter. And number 6, the rise of Gen Z activism is a direct challenge to the entrenchment power structures that have defined Kenyan politics. By rejecting tribalism, demanding accountability, and utilizing innovative mobilization strategies, they undermine the foundations upon which political kingpins have built their dominance. So there is also policy shifts. Politicians are being forced to address issues that resonate with young voters. Today, as we speak in Kenya, politicians are struggling actually to address issues that resonate with young voters. From job creation to digital rights. Because right now you touch on their digital rights, they are up in arms with you. They will organize mandamano overnight and they are there outside tomorrow. All over the streets, from the time you are manning Nairobi, they are in Meru. From the time you are talking about Meru, Isiolo, Embu and others and wherever, they are all over down there. They gain international attention. And what are the electoral implications of Gen Z movement? As the general election actually approaches, voting ages are also coming. So more are actually joining the group. They represent a very significant voting bloc that could disrupt political traditional alliances. Why? When you look at the statistics, and according to the 2019 census, 75% of the Kenya's population, so according to that census, 75% of Kenya's population are under 35 years old. And by 2027, those aged between 18 and 34 years are projected to total approximately 17.8 million. These will be eligible voters. If they were to go to the ballot the same day, then they will decide whoever becomes the president and anything else in the republic. So in 2022, 8.8 million voters were aged between 18 and 34, comprising of 40% of the voter register of Kenya. This figure is actually expected to rise significantly in 2027, with many Gen Zs reaching voting age and having seen the struggles they have gone through, the mandamanos that we were witnessed last year, June protest on 25th, and this year, the anniversary now. Although, while their voter turnout among the group last election, that was 2022, was not overwhelming, their pricing of June 25th, 2024 and 2025 suggest a heightened political awakening that could drastically alter the future's electoral dynamics. So that means if there will be about 17 million Kenyans aged between 18 and 34 that will be voting, and then it means that these people are likely to cause political waves in 2027. That's my thought. Please weigh in the comment section and tell me why the political elites fear the Gen Z movement.